Howdy, my name is Jake Kelly, and this is my Worldview assignment for Theater History 2. So, the role, performance, and examination of complex social issues. I think this can best be demonstrated if we go back in history and look at the Civil Rights March and the Civil Rights Movement that was led by Martin Luther King Jr. It was a man who not only demonstrated his own personal beliefs, but he was able to rally together and really bring together a group, a community, and a part of society that felt the same call to action, who had the same issues that they wanted solved, and really rallying them together to fight for a common purpose. We can even go as to look at the presidential election in 2016 and the candidates that we had to choose between, from Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and seeing both of these candidates really demonstrating what their beliefs, what their values were, and what their goal was to impact and to better the nation as a whole, what their plans were as president. And whether or not everyone believed with them, they were able to gather votes, they were able to gather supporters. And I think that both of these are great examples of performers. Obviously, there was an audience involved, whether that be the nation as a whole or even just a small group or public that was affected by this performance. I think we look at performance as something that's strictly within theater, and that's not the case at all. We can look in society and find traces of performance all around us, and I think that this is what this video is going to hint on. The value of human interaction and communication. We can go as to look at TV, whether we watch the news, a TV show, a movie. You have characters, you have people in real life who are interacting with each other and communicating. As a society, communication is one of the greatest tools that we have. If there was only one person on this planet, which seems weird and kind of out of context, but there would be no need for communication. And so I think that's one of the most impactful things that a society has. And I think that's another thing we take for granted. We have freedom of speech, and everyone is entitled to their own opinions. And whether or not we all agree with that, so be it. Like, everyone is different, and it's definitely important to communicate to others your different perspectives that you have. Collaboration and teamwork. Growing up and playing baseball, this is a great example. I was able to perform in front of an audience on the baseball diamond, and whether or not I realized it, that's what I was doing. Being able to collaborate and work as a team to accomplish a common goal, that's what that is all about. And I think any sporting event is a great example of this, especially for me, since that is a large part of my background and what my identity was placed in growing up. Community, whether that be here at Texas A&M and being a student, I'm a part of the Aggie Network, and that is my community. Whether that be being plugged in at my church and having a small group, or the organizations that I'm involved in on campus here at A&M. These are all examples of community. Globalization, I think technology has done an exceptional job of allowing us to be connected with one another. FaceTime. Another example of performance. You may not realize it or not, but you have at least one person who's on the other end of that call, and you are talking, moving, and in theory, performing for them. And I think FaceTime is a great example of globalization and interconnectedness. The value of diversity, inclusion, and performance in art. Like I mentioned earlier, everyone's different. We're all going to have different opinions. Everyone's unique in their own way. I think if we look at the Black Lives Matter movement and the police brutality topic that came up earlier in times, and this was a huge issue, and this sparked a lot of hatred, debate, but it touched on the diversity that we have, especially in the U.S. I think this definitely brought attention to the institutions that we have within the U.S. I think it also brought to our attention free speech as well, and being able to exercise these rights, and whether or not we agreed with what was going on or not. And I think it allowed for everyone to voice an opinion, to be entitled to whatever they believe in. And finally, media representation across social groups. I think this also can identify with the previous example. We have news coverage that was heavily present during this time and focusing on these groups and really breaking down the issues and informing the public. And yet again, another example of performance. We really don't have to look too far as of theater to find performance, and I think that this is exactly what this assignment was trying to bring out of us.